Over the course of the last 9 months, we've been working feverishly on updating our positioning, our messaging, and as you'll see now, our website too. In a slightly different deep dive today, we'll be looking deeper into this story and how Axon Garside has evolved within the last 9 months. For those that don't know, my name's Rob White. I'm the marketing manager here at Axon Garside. When I first joined, one of the first things that was on my list was to take a look at the positioning of the company and seeing if there were opportunities there to expand into the market. And the thing is, Axon Garside has evolved so much since its inception, as Ian Garver, who's the managing director here at Axon Garside, will explain now.
Yeah, so where we started is really unusual for a HubSpot partner in particular, but for a content marketing agency generally, because we started as an ad agency way back when we started doing print advertising for B2B companies. To do that well, the core discipline, the core skill is to be able to really understand what it is that's going to make the potential customer buy, and to think really creatively about what it is that's so different about your client, and to find really interesting and attention-demanding ways of saying that. Those are the core skills, understanding what makes human beings tick and really finding a way to get your hook into that. That's the skill. And actually, that is the front and centre of what makes for good content marketing or good any other kind of marketing. So that skill, that heritage was there in our background that goes back decades. So when we were faced with the changing needs of the market, it became natural for us, I guess, to reconsider the need for creativity in a way that perhaps other agencies with a different background really didn't have that heritage or don't have that in their DNA, don't think like that, and perhaps therefore haven't got to that place yet. There are now 7 million blogs published every single day. When we started out doing inbound marketing in 2012, the number of blogs published every day was 15-20% of that. It's massive growth. And so what's happened is there is too much content. 3 out of every 4 content marketers in B2B, marketers in B2B are now publishing content online. You might say, what are the other 25% doing? But hey, 3 out of 4 are publishing content. There's just too much content. People can't see the wood through the trees. Everybody's doing it. A lot of content is not helping people to stand out from their competition. And worse than that, a lot of content is crap. That is a big issue, because the crap that somebody else produces affects how your content is seen too. Customer trust in brands, B2B brands, has actually gone down rather than up. Creativity is a way of overcoming that problem, and it does that because creative thinking about what you say, who you say it to, and how to say that gives you the ability to talk to the customer in a way that stands out and differentiates yourself from the competition, that gets attention for your brand and gives people confidence in that brand so that they want to buy from you rather than feel they have to. And that's really what makes a difference. That's what the market now needs. Candidly, because of all of that I've just said, there was less demand for our services that were entirely based around core content marketing principles. People want something else, and that's why we needed to give to them. So the first thing to say to anybody is it's really hard to do this for yourself. It doesn't matter how much process and system you apply, being objective about yourself is hard. So we've got really robust processes for helping our clients to understand what it is that they do that's really important to the customer, that they do really well, that they do better than the competition, and that is going to give them an advantage. Doing that for yourself is tough. At the time at which we needed to reconsider this, we happened to have a relatively fresh team of people who had not worked in the business for a huge amount of time. And that meant that they had an outsider's perspective. They could look in on the business and they could bring a degree of objectivity, which is really hard for people who've worked in the business as long as I have, or some of the other people in Axon Garside. So that gave us the ability, but it was hard. It's a project that should have taken 3 to 6 months. And honestly, it's taken 9 to 12 months, and everybody's older and tired, and it's hard to get someone else to do it. What was great about where we were before, I think, was that 5 or 6 years ago, we moved to our yellow and black and grey and white colour scheme in a real kind of JCB look, very manufacturing. We've been very fortunate over recent years to do more and more work with industry and manufacturing generally in the Northwest. And it felt like a good look and feel for us. And we got comfortable with it, and it stands out. It's very different from most of our competition in the HubSpot world. It's very different from most of our competition in the content marketing world. And it speaks to one of the core markets we wanted to talk to. But whilst it had that robustness, while it had those kind of hard lines, had that data-driven kind of feel about it, it didn't really speak to the creative message that we wanted to talk to. And it also didn't speak to two of the three core audiences that form our client base. So apart from industrial and manufacturing, we do a lot of work in tech, and we always will. And we do a lot of work with professional services, and our branding was really a little bit exclusive. The creative thing and the need to speak to a number of different audiences led to the need to change.
As Ian has said about the branding, the way this all came about was because we were updating certain pages on the website, and as good as the designs were, it wasn't quite reflective of what we've become as a company. So what did we do? We started from page 1. We sat down with Chris Dunkley and looked at our complete branding and what Axon Garside stood for.
I think part of the brief from Ian was that the website that we had wasn't right, and that when we were trying to design within the constraints that we had, we couldn't create anything that was very different and that really showed what we were as a brand. So part of the brief really was fix that. Fix that and make it better. Really, the approach to the project was just like every other website project that we do, really, only that we had the extra permission, the extra playfulness to improve the brand. In that regard, we basically started a step earlier. So we had a brand discovery workshop to start with, then we had brand development, then we went into what is typically part of our normal website process. So copywriting, wireframes, design, and then of course into build. I think every agency will attest to the fact that working on your own brand is always one of the hardest things that you can do. So we wanted to make sure that we had input from the design team and the wider team, as well as making sure that we had buy-in from the senior stakeholders, because ultimately Ian has to like it. So we, in that first session really, we basically sent the design team away to get inspiration, think about what defines us, what makes us different, and what does it look like on paper. So then what was really good was everyone came back with their own ideas, and actually there was a lot of similarity, a lot of pattern. So there, what it allowed us to do was everyone presented their own themes, their own ideas, and we were in a really fortunate position to be able to take the majority of parts from everybody to set and combine it into one. And there was a lot of theme about industry and manufacturing, especially where we are now in a mill, in an old mill in Manchester. So that it all fed in. I mean, we knew we wanted to keep yellow and black within the new brand, but the client was keen to keep the same fonts, and didn't really give us permission to change that. So what was a good experience going through the branding stage was actually being able to demonstrate to the client, this is the research that we've done when we've actually looked at sort of different inspirational points like a brutalist style, and actually be able to challenge the choice of font. So we were able to do that and then demonstrate how using a different, better, as I say, more brutalist themed font for the titles within the website and within the brand, it brought a different flavour to the website and to the visuals. But then, as a business, we have a lot of DNA in print from years gone by. That's where the business started. So being able to bring in a font that you might typically associate with print was another. It's like a nice nod to the past, but equally the client really bought into it. So it allowed us to evolve the brand from where it was to now where it is today. And we went a step further by bringing in a couple of other, well, certainly an additional colour of red to complement the black and the yellow with the white. And we use white a lot more in the new brand, which is fresher and cleaner. It gives us more ability and like compatibility with other disciplines across the brand as well.
So I knew quite early on we had to get buy-in from Ian when we showed him the original ideas. And sort of one thing learned early on in inbound marketing is working with the client and understanding their customers and things like that. So we wanted to apply the same logic here. So Ian's a bit of a traditionalist, and he likes his Manchester history, so he wanted to incorporate some naming around like colours to try and get him bought into the idea early on. So things like poppy red for the red, MCR white for the grey, etc, etc. So I knew little things like this would get Ian's attention and get him bought into it quickly. So I worked with the design team on that, but then all the way through, something that Ian has always mentioned to me is he hates when websites aren't designed to a grid. So we wanted to take this to the next extreme. So we've literally got a grid in our design now. It sort of sits behind images to add some more depth. So it's little bits like this, is understanding what Ian does and doesn't like, get that incorporated into the brand, and I knew we'd have a bit more of a clear runway. Then
I'm pretty sure, you might be able to help me remember, but I'm pretty sure we then went into concept designs so that then we could present a theme to Ian to then basically present back to say, you know, this is what we're thinking, this is a style, because it's quite hard to just show mood boards to any client and expect them to understand how it's going to look. So that's what we did. Went through that process, and I think it was probably one of our design team's happiest moments to sit in a presentation with Ian and then get to the end when he was like, I've been holding back from smiling because I'm really liking what I'm seeing. So it was a real win for the design team to go through that process and get a win and a basically verbal agreement on a style that the client was happy with.
Something I was really, really keen on doing was using icons to represent our three main service areas: inbound marketing, B2B website design, and HubSpot CRM implementation and optimization. So the inspiration from this, I can't lie to you, was taken from HubSpot, where they use icons for their main suites within their platform. I wanted something similar, which almost interconnected our three services to demonstrate that if you use all three services in conjunction with one another, you are going to see the best return on investment. Here's what Jay and Chris had to say about the design process of these icons.
The idea for icons for the different services that we had was a really nice idea that came out of the brand workshop. And actually in practice, in the development of it, it turned out to take a lot longer than we probably could ever have anticipated. We had so many different iterations using different components. In the end, what we found worked really well was we wanted each icon to be made up of two parts. So a lot of the work that we went through was how can we take out a lot of the noise and just really make the biggest impact with the least volume of complexity.
God, off the top of my head, there must be over 150 different versions at this point of different ones that we did before we landed on the ones which we finalised. But yeah, it wasn't an easy task because we needed to make it as simple as possible, include two colours and have two elements in each one, which is easier said than done. But I'm pretty happy with how they've turned out.
So, what was the next step? Well, of course, the next step is the website.
Really, it's the same process that we follow for every website that we do. You know, we take the copy which we design, the copywriting team lead on and design from their side, and obviously, you know, we work closely with the copywriting team during that as well, so that we can, you know, create and start to think about how our module's going to be not limited to copy that's written today, but can be adaptable in the future as well. So that is a really important part of the wireframing process. But really, then when we get our hands on the copy, then it's a really integral part to the design process to understand, right, what we're trying to say for this module, or for this module that's going to be using across all these different parts of pages across the whole website. And then really we just try and create We're really trying to use the content to inform the design. If you look in too much detail, it could be quite complicated, but on the face of it, we're just using the copy as a form of inspiration to come up with different designs for different modules across the website, fundamentally.
So I think early days, once we had Ian sign off on the different brand elements, and he was happy with the colours and stuff, I sort of worked quite closely with the design team to translate that onto the website. So I think, casting my mind back, it's quite a while ago, but I think the process that we took was we sort of started with we didn't want to start with a blank slate because we could have gone wildly off-piste and swayed so far away from the original branding that it wasn't Axon Garside anymore. So what we did is we took the original layout from the website and sort of blocked it up based on the wireframes which Chris and the team did, based on the copy that Lawrence did, sort of blocked it onto the page, and then only after that we applied the new brand elements, things like the red, the blocks that we've got on, the new fonts and things like that. So we kept that original identity, so we weren't starting straight from scratch. I think that really helped us, because if anyone has ever done any design or writing or anything creative, starting with a blank page is the hardest thing to do. So that really helped us sort of kickstart the process. And then once we got a couple of pages down and we had some sort of modules determined, that's when we started flying, and it became a lot easier. But that original portion was quite difficult to get the new stuff in while retaining the original Axon Garside identity.
What Chris, Hannah, Jay, Lawrence and Will and the rest of the wider team that worked on this project have done is create a really good website that functions really, really nicely, which really reflects who we are as a company and as a brand. The site, within just one day of going live, was able to create some really good quality and some really high intent leads straight away. These leads that came in on day one weren't just MQLs, but they turned to opportunities which generated pipeline for the company. But it's all well and good to hearing what I have to say. Here's what Ian had to say about the new website and branding.
It rocks, Rob. It's great. It's really good. No, it's been a really hard process, as I said, and I think what we've got is something now that takes the best of the old. It's evolved, but it is significantly different. It's got an extra colour added. It's got design flourishes which speak to that creative element that we've talked about. Honestly, it's as well as the look and feel of the thing. What we haven't really talked about yet is that in changing our messaging, the change in message was sufficiently significant that we needed to look again at the structure of the website. We needed to look at how different kinds of content is out on the page. So we needed to change the website too. So we had a look and feel, a messaging thing, and some of the ergonomics of our site. And all of those things coming together gave us the reason to change. And I think the result is very successful. It feels really comfortable. Our clients seem to like it from talking to them and sharing that with some of our older clients. They feel it represents our business, and it puts our people at the front of our window to the world, and that is the most important asset that Axon Garside has. So that's great.
Well, there you go. If you haven't checked out the website yet, make sure to visit us at www.axongarside.com. If you want to follow the same process for your brand and for your website, make sure to get in contact with us by going to the Contact Us page on the website.